When you want to get to know someone or learn about something, you start by asking a question. Persona is the first platform dedicated entirely to question and answer conversations, interviews. Every day, we bring you great interviews from all over the world that will inform, entertain, and inspire you. At Persona, we think our world could use a little less telling and a little more asking. Join the conversation by downloading the Persona Interviews app today or visit personainterviews.co. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Persona Interviews. I'm Rob Simmelkjaer, and I am pleased to be joined by someone who is much better at least one thing than I am. That is spelling. Valerie Browning joins me. Valerie comes from the world of spelling bees, and I'm pleased to be working with her over the next couple of days for the Kaplan National Online Spelling Bee, a new spelling bee that is coming up this year to take the place, at least partially, of the Scripps National Spelling Bee, which was canceled due to concerns about COVID-19. Valerie, thanks for joining me.
Absolutely, happy to be here.
So let's talk about this bee for a bit. Of course, everyone knows the Scripps National Spelling Bee, big annual in-person spelling bee that was canceled this year because of what's going on with COVID. What is this online spelling bee going to be like?
It's going to be a little bit different. We've been through a couple of rounds already. It takes some of the elements of the Scripps Bee and repurposes them to fit in a virtual environment. And in the Scripps Bee, there is a written round and the kids all take the same words, and then you have a series of oral rounds. And this is not going to be that different. It's the same type of speller. It's somebody who has gone to great lengths to learn all kinds of obscure words, spelling rules, etymology, you name it. And we've gone through one written round, one written test, and then each student has had 2 spelling words already orally. And then we are migrating to the next phase tomorrow, and we're down to about 50 contestants, I believe, starting tomorrow morning, and we'll whittle it down ideally to 1 on Saturday afternoon.
Okay, and for those watching this interview online, we're talking on Thursday. The bee will be on the Kaplan Test Prep YouTube channel Friday and Saturday coming up this week, so you can catch it there, both live or after the fact. Valerie, you come from this world. You also were featured in the Netflix documentary, Spelling the Dream. How much of a downer is it for the kids who were ramping up for the Scripps Bee to not be able to compete? And how good is this in terms of at least taking the place for them?
It's a huge downer. Some of these kids started working on this in, first, second, third grade or longer, or they had older siblings who did it, and they've worked and they've learned more and more words, every year for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. And to get to 8th grade, not be able to go, or to qualify and not be able to go is frustrating. They've worked hard to get there, and it sounds like Scripps is not giving them the option to participate next year, just to delay. So if they're aging out of the bee, they're sort of out of luck this year.
So 8th grade is really the sweet spot, Valerie. That's kind of the year that you really are considered to have your best chance to win.
Right. And you've studied for the longest by then. You're a year more mature than you were the year before and the year before that. So it's your best shot. And to not get to go is frustrating for these kids, which is where we came
covered in it's tough. It's this, so there's so many stories, obviously, whether it's athletes or so many folks who have been, robbed of opportunities to complete something they've worked on for such a long time. Olympic athletes, we don't know what's happening with the Olympics. So it's just another on that list. From personal experience what goes into getting ready for this.
Yes.
Having been a bee contestant and an elite one yourself. Can you talk about that? It's covered in the Netflix documentary. How many years of this, what kind of hours are we talking to in terms of what these kids put into it?
I mean, the kids that are winning the bee have put in, at least 10 to 20 hours a week, sometimes up to 6, 8, 10 years. I mean, wow. 10 years is a stretch because they're 13, but some of them start as early as 4 and 5, starting to learn spelling words, and it's a family tradition. And so, yes, they've put in hundreds and hundreds of hours, and they've learned 50, 60, 70,000 words at this point, sometimes more. So they work really hard to get there. It is their Olympics. For this point in their life, this is their Olympics. And they get one shot at the 8th grade spot, and then it's gone. So,
Well, it's great that Kaplan and Hexco, which is a company that you founded and that's partnering with Kaplan on putting this online spelling bee together, or at least giving them an opportunity to show off their skills in this online bee that we're having this week. Can you talk about your experience? You know, it's been you know, a couple of years, but what was it like for you? And what was the word that you went out on? What was the word you finally lost on?
we were talking about that a minute ago. I cannot remember. It was one of two words, and one of them I missed at a regional bee, and one of them I missed at the national bee. It was either kie or it was kashaberry, and I cannot for the life of me remember which one. I think I've blocked it.
Kie. What is kie? Do you remember? Or did you block it out of your mind?
I blocked it
Never
all.
to
I know
remember
that
it again.
terrible, but gosh, it's been a lot of years. 30 years plus, 33 years.
The mind gets sharper over time, though. So I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure it's
And,
easier.
I think so. I think this is like a childhood trauma that I've decided I don't have to do that.
I would see how you would
it.
block that out. Yeah. Well, you forgot something I never knew in the first place, if so I wouldn't feel too badly about that. Where do these words come from? I mean, every time I watch one of these bees, you know, I like to think of myself as like a reasonably educated person. I do read. I like to keep up with what's going on, right? I'm a college, law school graduate, but I would say once you get to the elite rounds of this, I mean, 90% of these words are words I couldn't tell you anything about.
They're obscure, and you know, it's generous to say they're obscure. A lot of them I cannot imagine using in conversation. But we've gotten to a point where so many kids have put so much time into this that they have to really dig deep into the dictionary to find something that they don't all know. And there's still kids who have come close to memorizing everything in there. So they find them all. There's one big dictionary. When I was going through, it was, you know, this fat, and it was Merriam-Webster's Third New International plus each addenda that they add every year. All of them are in one source. And they just have to dig to find these obscure words. A lot of them, there are rules that you can apply. You can make some educated guesses based on language of origin or related words, but some of them, you know, if it comes from a very obscure language or it has no etymology, you're just sort of guessing blindly.
And I know it's been getting to the point where they're having a hard time stumping these kids. I think the last Scripps Bee was a tie, right? How many kids were tied for?
I think there were 8 last year.
8 kids tied. They just ran out of words, basically.
Yeah, they couldn't get any of them out.
And so what does that mean for the future of spelling bees? Are they going to have to start going to other languages or proper?
Well, then we've changed the nature of the bee. I don't know what that means. It's always been a luck game to some degree because, you know, you hope you get one of the 10,000 words that you know or one of the 15,000 words that you know. And now the kids know more and more, so there's less luck involved, presumably, but I don't know where we go from here. I know that there's a Texas competition that went from just spelling and then it's gone into spelling and vocabulary. So the kids who are participating have to not only know how to spell a large number of words, but they also have to know something about the definition. And I don't know whether the national bees will go that way or not.
If you want to ask Valerie a question, by the way, you can follow her on the Persona mobile app, which you can download from personatalks.com. She'll answer your questions about spelling bees and the whole culture around them. In the documentary that you were involved in, the Netflix documentary, Spelling the Dream, they really told the story of the particular community that has come to dominate these bees, yes. The Indian American community. How has that come to be?
You know,
so to speak.
We had a lot of discussion about it with the crew that produced the documentary, and we have a lot of first-generation Indians, second-generation Indians who are very academic, and this group has found that they are driven, they're motivated, they're good at school, they're good at spelling, and they're also very competitive. And this is a great outlet for a very academic kid who is also competitive to shine. It's something where you can just grind through it and you can learn more and more and more. And it's a great way to indulge your competitive side and indulge the academic strengths that you also have.
It makes sense. It really has become very much a staple of that community.
Absolutely.
Do you have any sense of what the correlation is between people who excel in spelling bees and who go on to excel in other areas of academics or other fields? Like what, in other words, what do you get from it? I mean, you can
What's
speak to it
value here?
personally. Yeah.
Well, this, for most people in spelling bee who take this very far, this is the first project or the first thing that they've taken on that's bigger than they are. When we're in school, you read a novel or you read a series of books or you write a paper, but everything is sort of a bite-sized chunk. This is the first thing that a lot of these kids take on that is huge. It's something you can't accomplish in 1 year. You cannot prepare for and win the National Spelling Bee and make it a 1-year project. It is a multi-year project, no matter how you slice it. And this is the first thing that a lot of these kids do that really, really challenges them over a very long period of time. I think it's not unlike becoming a college athlete or something else. You put years and years and years into training and learning and growing and getting better and better and better before you are adequately able to compete. And this is the same sort of idea. They put years and years into this. They have to have extensive dedication to words and language and memorization. And some kids learn by memorizing and they just remember what the word looks like. Some kids spend a lot of time learning rules and language of origin and systematically understanding why words are spelled the way they are. And a lot of kids do some combination of the two.
It makes a lot of sense. And I've had debates myself in the world of college athletics. What's the value of being a volleyball player or a tennis player in college? Well, there's value of, the dedication, right? And that's really the same thing here, is committing yourself to something and, certainly, not having to use spell check a whole lot for the rest of your life. That's got to be a bonus, right?
Yep. It makes you very critical of other people's text messages, emails, letters, you name it.
Yeah. I actually double checked my text when I sent them to you. I didn't want to misspell something in a text to a spelling bee champion. That'd be embarrassing. Valerie, thank you for chatting with me. I look forward to doing the bee with you. Again, it's the Kaplan Hexco online National Spelling Bee. We'll be doing it. You can check it out on the Kaplan Test Prep YouTube channel. Friday and Saturday, 11 Eastern time. You can check out the details in the screen below, and we will see you there. Thanks, Valerie.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
You too.